thing to start recording. There we go. What up, what up, what up, y'all? It's the doll, Miss Funky Dineva Ross, but I got my man hat on today, so y'all can call me Q. So look, everybody been lighting up my social media, and they saying, Dineva, you need to talk to what you think about this Candiace situation with these tweets? You need to interview Candiace. And I said, well, you know what? Let me interview Candiace. So y'all, I got Real Housewife of Potomac's Candiace Dillard Bassett on the line, and we about to talk about it. Hey, Candiace girl.
Hi, thank you so much for letting me use your platform and giving me a chance to talk about this.
Well, don't thank me just yet, because you ain't heard what I had to say.
Yes, this is, but whatever the reaming, number one, it's not worse than what's already been said, and number two, it's necessary, and it's a bit of catharsis, I think, to be able to, for your community to be able to talk through it.
So let me start out by saying this, right? I was out to dinner, as I normally am, and believe it or not, people think because I work in social media that I'm so engulfed in it. I really try to turn it off as many opportunities as I get. And they're lighting me up on Twitter. They're like, oh, child, you seen what Candiace said? Retweet me. What you think about this? And so being in this field, the first thing that I do when people come out with these damn tweets is I look at how long ago was it, right? And so when I saw 2010 on the damn tweets, to be honest, I folded my phone back down and went back to drinking my damn martini, because I'm like, listen, y'all, don't come at me with no shit that somebody said over a decade ago, because people change, people evolve. And put it this way, Joe Biden once said that he wasn't for integration because schools will turn into a racial jungle, and he's now about to be our damn president. You see what I'm saying? So that being said, there is room for people to evolve and redeem themselves, just as long as you ain't killed no damn body. You know what I'm saying? Or did no major damn crime. The other thing that it made me do, Candiace, when looking at it, was that this whole cancel culture, right? Like, I'm just not a fan of it, because I feel like if you find something, or if you search hard enough in all of our social medias, our emails, our text messages, our past conversations, we have all said something or done something in our past that lends itself to being canceled in 2020. And then lastly, and most importantly, and why I wanted to have this conversation, is being gay, being Black, and looking at the tone of what was said. There's a larger conversation to be had, and that conversation is about the social cues and the attitudes and opinions that are fostered and perpetuated in our community. And with me being gay, I'm ashamed to say, but I once shared those very views that you tweeted. Like, being gay, I once felt the same way about myself and others in my community. And when I take a more introspective look into why, it's because through media, imaging, my village and community, I was taught these things, and I think we would all be nothing but dishonest if any of us sit here and say, particularly within the Black community, that these are not shared attitudes in our community that are passed down from generation to generation. And that being said, I think that creates a great opportunity for you and I to have a conversation, kind of dissecting what happened, what transpired, what you said, but moreover, to use it as a springboard and a teaching lesson. So at least we get something out of all of this chaos and confusion.
Agreed.
Makes sense?
Yes, very much so. I think that I will go back and sort of address what you said about cancel culture. It's become this phenomenon, and I obviously am active on social media. I have watched people be canceled. Of late, several of my Bravo colleagues have fallen victim to the cancel culture, and it has affected their livelihood. And I say that to say that I do believe that there are instances where cancel culture does have a place. And I would say that that is more than likely in an instance where you have a person or persons who have not shown a propensity for growth or change, who are indignant in their will or desire to be ignorant, and I personally have felt offense by certain things that have been said and done, and I try not to publicly cancel so and so, because I've always thought about what it would feel like to be in this position. So I've tried to be very judicious about how loudly I am publicly canceling someone. But I've had my thoughts about certain individuals who have said and done things that are offensive to the Black community, to the LGBTQ plus community, to many marginalized groups that are often at the butt of some form of discrimination or whatever you want to call it. So I just wanted to say that I think that there's a time and a place for cancel culture, but I also believe that, sort of like you said, in my instance, this was 9 and 10 years ago. I do want to make it clear that it was, people are saying you have to be sure to make sure that you are being specific. It was 9 and 10 years ago, but that almost a decade ago. I was in my 20s. I was young. I was ignorant. And the things that I was saying were coming from an ignorant place. Not to take the blame off of me, because I do take full ownership of what I said. But I think there's something to be said about what you said as far as conditioning within our communities of color, where certain things are just, it becomes the norm to speak a certain way. And you don't know better until you know better. And I wanted to be better and learn and do better. And I, of my own volition, took the initiative to do that, and have been. I consider myself a diehard ally of the LGBTQ plus community, and I have been, even in the midst of the way that I was tweeting. I still considered myself to be someone who empathized, if that's the right word, and wanted to be an advocate for what I felt was an injustice and inequality within your community. So,
and so
I don't want to stick around, but I can kind of,
it's funny, and we'll get into this when we delve into it, because it's, in the grand scheme of things, the average reasonable person looking at the tweets are like, I mean, well, they're not that damn bad. It's not like she said off with their heads or all gay people should die. But as we get into this dialogue, I want to help make sure you understand, and the viewing audience understand, that while on the surface they may seem somewhat menial, the deeper implication is just the perpetuation of, this just toxic culture that makes it hard for people to exist. So in order to set the stage, I want to share with you a quote that a drug dealer's girlfriend told me. And she told me that every time her man cheated on her, she ended up with a new apartment complex, a new car, a duplex in her name. And she said, pay me for my pain. And that stuck with me. That whole, I live my life by the mantra now, pay me for my pain. And in your instance, you're going through, what it means is, if I'm going to go through something, let me get something out the fucking deal, right? In your instance, payment is not necessarily monetary, but it's intrinsic in the sense. And so I found it valuable, pay me for my pain. You're going through this media scrutiny right now, but what can you get out of it in form of payment? And I think for you, payment would be redemption by way of starting this very public and much needed conversation that we need to have in our community. Now, I would be remiss, honey, if I had you on this line and did not get you together real quick on behalf of the gays, honey. Now, since we are going back in time, 9 and 10 years, let me devolve to who I was 10 years ago and get your ass together real quick. Let me tell you something, bitch, okay? While you around here talking about the Queenie boys irk you, I bet they didn't irk your dusty weave wearing ass when they doing your hair with your raggedy hair, popcorn smelling, bundle selling ass, and doing your damn makeup, okay? You don't have no problem with the Queenie boys then, but you can't occupy office space with them now. Okay, how about that, bitch? And somebody, had you caught me in the old days, I probably would have ran up on you and slapped the shit out of you for some stupid ass shit like that. Now that we've gotten that out the way. Now that we've gotten that out the way, and I'm glad you're a good sport about it because I had to get that out on behalf of the gays. Bitch, fuck you, okay? And the car that you rolled in on that your mama paid for, okay?
Yeah.
That part.
My car, my house,
that part.
my weed, my braid, my ring, everything.
You know, but you know, let's and here's what I want to talk about. Let's get into the heart of this conversation. We're not going to make this lengthy. So for you and other people out there listening, there's something that I wanted to share. And culturally, regardless of whatever culture you're born into, you are privileged and blessed in a sense if you come out of the womb fitting the mold that said culture said is desirable. So in our case as African Americans, if you come out of the womb, you're not too dark, you're not too light, you straight and you halfway cute, you have a place in society.
Yeah.
You come out of the womb and you're gay or you're trans, you go against the mold.
Right.
And you don't necessarily have a definitive loving place within the culture. And so these people every day of our lives, we're just fighting to exist.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we're fighting to exist peaceably amongst society. So with tweets like Queenie boys irk me, it's like, well, damn, bitch, why? Like, why? I'm just here. I ain't doing nothing to nobody. I'm just trying to exist. And the deeper implication of it all, and what I want people to understand is, while, you know, a lot of people are like, that's her opinion, that's her opinion. Yes, it is. And it was her 23-year-old opinion. But let's not pretend like opinions don't shape attitudes and behaviors. And now I'm your co-worker, I'm your classmate, I'm whoever I am. I walk into your space and now I'm receiving
This
some
hostile,
sort of energy from you.
Hostile energy or
Because my existence, because my existence irks you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I wanted you to understand and the viewing audience to understand why statements like that are problematic, because they don't just end at tweets, they form attitude
into ideals. Yeah.
You know,
and just to I can sort of, I hate the word piggyback, but I can sort of help with that. You know, I in my along my journey of my growth and my learning, I went to school with I went to school in the South. So that says a lot. I'm from the South, and the South is typically, you know, a few years behind on a lot of things. And where I came from, it was not acceptable all the time and in all ways for people to be gay. And we had a student who did commit suicide because of the bullying and because of the ostracizing that they fell victim to. And so I acknowledge and I recognize too that it's not just like an aesthetic pain, but it's a deep-seated thing that, like, I like to say when it hits you like in your sternum, that can drive people to to want to end their lives.
Yep.
And it's things as simple as something like what I said, that Queenie men irk me, or whatever the rhetoric of the time was, and whatever the rhetoric is for people who still speak that way.
Mm-hmm.
I recognize and I understand how damaging it can be for your community.
Because it suggests that something's defective about me.
Correct.
You know, and it's kind of hard when you don't have a place in society. You're trying to find your place in society, and then people are constantly reminding you that something is wrong with you by virtue of something that you did not even choose. Excuse me, which brings me to your next tweet, which was, if you want to be or are gay, then do it. But what the fuck is up with dudes wanting to be women? And so that tweet lends itself to the trans community. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you know this, but what I want to share with other people out there watching, trans people are considered to be at the bottom of the social totem pole. Nobody on God's green earth wakes up and purposely chooses the hardest lived life ever. Yeah. And so it speaks to this other misconception in the community that these things are choices. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Being gay is not a choice. And then people's rebuttal is, well, my cousin, when she was young, she was messing with girls. Now she mess with men. Right. You know, listen.
Yeah.
Sexuality is a spectrum. Your cousin happens, you're right. Your cousin's not gay. She's sexually fluid. Right. But there are people who are just outright gay. The sight of vagina, the sight of penis repulses them. They don't like it. Mm-hmm. Dear America, being gay is not a choice. I did not purposely choose to get teased and beat up every day of elementary and middle school. If I could have magically chosen a box and chose straight and been rough and tumble and played football with the other boys and fuck bitches and listen to rap music and all of those other things that the world says a black straight man is supposed to be, God damn it, I would have done it. But I couldn't. And so, you know, that's that one. You know, going back to our earlier tweet about the Queenie men irk me, I think my office might be gay. He does some strange things, makes me raise an eyebrow. You know, with that particular tweet, and what I want you and other people to understand, you would never, and what makes it problematic, you would never say that about a straight person. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't work in reverse. You would never say, I think he's straight. Let me be on alert. You know what I'm saying? So it still suggests that something is wrong with this person, or you should be on alert. And it's like, alert, why? The fourth one, Phaedra's husband is awkward. I think he might be a little gay too. So, you know, this particular tweet, it made me think of conversations that I've been privy to, oftentimes occupying female spaces, hair salons and stuff. And I sit back and I hear a lot of women talk. So the problem with this particular tweet is that it weaponizes his sexuality.
Right.
Like something is wrong with him because he's gay. And here's what I want people to understand, particularly women, particularly Black women, because I hear a lot of Black women say this. I don't have a problem with nobody being gay, but if you just gay, come out. I mean, you know, just be you. Well, if I am said gay person in my safe, straight, pretending closet, and I hear these attitudes, Queenie men irk me, you know, I think he's gay, that doesn't give me the comfort to come out, because I don't want to be one of these defective people. Shut up, Georgie, I'm on the phone. Damn dog. I don't want to be one of these. Georgie, you don't want to be one of those defective people either. I don't want to be one of those defective people. So it makes me say I'm in this safe closet where I get all of this straight privilege with nobody lumping me with the rejects and the defects. Let me just stay there. So I say to women, you know, you can't have it both ways. You can't want men to just come out, but then don't make a safe space for them to be able to come out. earlier in my notes, I had made a note about wanting to talk about toxic masculinity. And within our community, oftentimes, we always get on men about it, but women don't sometimes see how they perpetuate these toxic notions of masculinity. And that speaks to your last tweet that we're going to talk about, which says, I am personally turned off by men who are too into fashion. It's a fine line, but if you do too much, I'm disgusted. It makes me think gay. And I'm here to say to you and to those watching, we have got to abandon these one-dimensional views of gender and what it means to be a man and what it means to be a woman. It is very much possible that I am straight as an arrow and I'm not interested in football. Like, and I like fashion, I like colors, I like health and beauty, and this may go over some people's head, but the notion of gender identity is a social construct anyway.
Yeah.
Nature did not say you're a boy, you must like blue in football.
And
Man,
Joe and
we said that.
Yeah.
So it is very much possible. And then it creates for a hostile environment for the straight boy that wants to play the cello,
Right.
that wants to do ballet. You know what I'm saying? And like it creates this weird situation for people to try to just fucking exist.
Right.
So for me, that was the problem, Candiace, with the tweets, and I think you understand that. I'm pretty sure you do, but I wanted to make sure that our viewing audience does. And I think this conversation is definitely the positive that has come out of this situation.
Yeah.
But I've got a question for you. Like, as someone who's building a relationship with you and your family and Chris, and as someone who is gay, what do you say to me? Because on one token, somebody could say, child, she just apologizing because her ass got caught and that's the way she fit. Child, she just ain't trying, she trying to keep her job, honey. She just trying to keep her job.
Yeah.
What reassurance do I have as somebody who wants to build a friendship with you that when we hang up this phone, you're not going back to talking like that?
Yeah. Well, I think the number one indicator that you don't have to worry about that is the fact that, like we both said, this was 9 and 10 years ago. I was in my 20s. I was very young. I was ignorant. And I keep using that word because that is what it was. It was ignorance. It wasn't a hatred. It wasn't an intolerance. It was an ignorance that I didn't know how to. I didn't know that it was a problem to speak that way at that time. I think what my hope would be is that the way that I have conducted myself in the last, I would say, 7, 8, 9 years speaks for itself. It speaks to how much I have learned and grown and become comfortable being vocal about the way that I think that things should be for the LGBT plus community, not just domestically, but globally. I think there are different nuances that can be attached to different parts of the globe, but there is an intolerance to some extent everywhere. And I've traveled abroad and I've experienced with a lot of my LGBTQ plus friends, and we've experienced, well, not we, but I have experienced, I've seen them experience that kind of intolerance and what it looks like in different places. And I have always spoken out on social media, on my Twitter account, on my Instagram account, in conversation around kitchen tables with family and friends who are not where I am today in my understanding and in my respect of your community and what it's like to walk in your shoes and in shoes like yours. My hope is that for those of you who know me now as the woman that I am today and the woman that I have been for the last 7 to 10 years, I would hope that that shows you and shows everyone who will be viewing this that I simply have grown from that person that I was. The ignorance that was me, Candiace, at 20, 22, 23, or whatever it was, it just doesn't exist anymore. I took the initiative on my own to want to learn and grow. And a lot of that I credit, and this is one of the things that I love and respect so much about your community, is how brave I was not supposed to cry. How brave you have to be to endure what you all have to endure. And I think I said this to you before, that's the foundation of my advocacy is, well, shit, like this just isn't fair. It's not fair that you are seen as alien by your family, that you are you could become subject to homelessness or joblessness or abandonment by people who are supposed to love you simply because of who you are. Mm-hmm. And I always try to equate everything to how it would make me feel. And I know what it feels like to be misunderstood as, a straight cisgendered Black woman, and it's nothing like what I've experienced my gay and trans friends and my bi friends and what they have to deal with. But just knowing in a mustard seed kind of way what that misunderstanding feels like and how it lends itself to that hostility and that intolerance and that ugliness that I perpetuated with my ignorance it's embarrassing, it's shameful, and it makes me and honestly it makes me want to continue to do what I've been doing and continue to be louder and more vocal in my allyship and in my advocacy, because it's necessary. So I go around the world, I'm very verbose, but what I would want you, Q, and what I would want everyone who's listening to know is that the messaging and the rhetoric of that woman at 23 is not the messaging and the rhetoric of the woman that you look at and you see today. I understand how damaging and how hurtful and how toxic my rhetoric was. And I know that I understand that because I've changed it. And it has been so changed and different and tolerant and loving and accepting for since then, since those messages were unearthed. And I also want to make sure that I make it clear and I point out that and you can sort of go back in my history and see this. Don't expect me to, jump up and start doing, pride parades and
please don't, because it will
posing.
look so disingenuous. Like, please don't.
Yeah, no, you don't because that's not me. But also, you don't expect that because I was already doing those things. That. I was already. I won't name organizations now because I don't want to embarrass them. But I have already been aligned with and in an ambassadorship with LGBTQ+ organizations that work to help your community to feel and be more integrated into society without the redheaded stepchild syndrome that can sometimes come along with being part of your community.
I want to offer you something as well, because it's very easy for anyone to be ignorant to the plight of any people who are part of any community that they do not belong to.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to leave this broadcast perched like I'm judge or jury. And I want to offer you, as a Black woman, and all the Black women watching this, um, oppression, disrespect, and ignorance goes both ways. And I'm learning through having conversations with my Black female following how I, even though I'm being gay, have perpetuated oppression of women um, through patriarchal views, so on and so forth. And it's funny because for a long while I resisted and I called it, I'm just living, I'm just doing me. And it took for these women to come to me and say, Q, you can't do these things. You can't say these things because it affects us in this way. And to your point, I did not know. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know. And so I don't want to sit here and just be in a position as if I'm nailing you to the cross and you owe me some sort of explanation. I also offered up an apology to you, to women, to our community for just the things that I've done and I've said on my platform and the patriarchal views that I've perpetuated out of ignorance and not knowing. I say that to say you don't know what you don't know. And I think you just didn't know at that time. You were 23. I don't think any of us should be. Please don't hold me responsible for anything I said at 23, because Jesus Lord, I'd probably be canceled for life if people dug hard enough through my stuff. But Candiace, I love you.
I love you too.
You will weather this storm. While I don't speak on behalf of the whole gay community,
Right.
I can speak on behalf of myself and say that I believe you. Um,
Thank you.
I forgive you if there's even anything for you to be forgiven for. I viewed it more as just immaturity of a 23-year-old spouting off at the goddamn mouth. Like that's what it was, and we would all be lying if we all said we did not do the same thing at that age. Doesn't make it go away, but it semi explains it, and anybody who can't connect with the human side of just making errors while you're young, dumb, and you know the rest,
Yeah.
then you're not human.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not human. I
I I and I recognize that everyone is not going to be as forgiving. Everyone's not going to be as quick to just sort of, accept my apology or accept my explanation in this dialogue that we're having right now. I also recognize that, there are some people that are just committed to
to not liking
misunderstanding
you. Yep.
me.
Trust me,
And
I
and
know.
hello, all of you, and you are entitled to roll around in that. And I used to want to try and stop you. I can't. I'm not going to try to stop you. That is your right. That is your place.
Ooh, child. The girls trying to get happy hour together, honey.
It's Friday, yeah.
It's Friday.
No, I say this conversation is for
Mhm.
everyone. Um, Everyone that I offended, everyone that I hurt, everyone that may have been triggered by the things that I said. I understand the weight of my rhetoric, and I want that to be clear. I also want to just thank everyone who has been understanding. I've gotten a lot of response from people who have essentially said what you said to me, Q. That yeah, what you said it was effed up, um, and especially people that know me and have known me um, understand that it was an ignorant time and space for
Mhm.
Candiace,
Mhm.
and Candiace is not in that space anymore. I grew myself out of that space with the help of the people in your community,
Mhm.
and I credit, um, I really do credit and am grateful for members of your community that were open to coming forward when it wasn't sexy or trendy or cute to come out and say, yes, I am gay, or yes, I am a trans person, and I deserve to be heard and seen and treated just like the next bitch out here, or what have you. That for me is what helped me to become more understanding, was hearing those stories and following the journeys of so many of the brave people within the LGBTQ plus community who were not afraid to speak out and speak up and say, this is what it is, deal with it. And I was able to say, okay, yeah, I get it, I understand. And that, coupled with just the gross unfairness that is attached to the way that society has treated and continues to treat members of your community is what has me held firm and not going anywhere. And you're not going to run me off because of this.
Right.
I ain't going nowhere. If anything, this, conversations like this, I've wanted to have conversations like this, and I've always wanted to use my platform to create teachable moments. And look, Lord, you made me the teachable moment.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I received that, and I would love to use this debacle to continue those conversations, because they are still valid and relevant and need to be had, even as we think we are becoming more tolerant and accepting, and we're living, in the 2020 apocalypse of it all. There is a lot of space for more tolerance across the board. We've seen it in the Black community, we've seen it with women in the Me Too movement, and we're seeing it now with my blunder within the LGBTQ plus community. And I want to be a part of that conversation and the continuation of that conversation.
Well, I think you have, whether you chose to or not, inadvertently or not. You definitely created room and reason. And again, pay me for my pain. In these kinds of conversations are important. I'm glad to have had it with you. I offer you this. Shut up, Georgie, buddy. I'll get you some water in a second. I'm on the phone with Candiace. The dogs, his water bowl's empty. They always want to show out when I get on the phone. I offer you this, so Candiace, this too shall pass. Dry your tears. Stop crying. Like you said, there are people out there who will be committed to misunderstanding you. There are people out there who are not going to be able to see past the show. Right. And this is completely y'all separate from the show.
Yes.
And all of that. This is a complete, separate, mutually exclusive situation from the show. Those people, they're committed to not liking you, and they're not going to like you. Those of us who are human, those of us that have messed up, those of us who will continue to live and understand that in this life we will make mistakes. I'm not so hung up on people making mistakes. I'm hung up on if they learn from them, they express genuine remorse, and if they have grown from them and learned the lesson. And in my opinion, I really do feel that you have. That's what my spirit and my discernment tells me, honey. And you'll be fine, child. That was fun.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Let's hope.
Anywho, be good. I enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you. Me too.
When I end this, we'll talk. It was for me too, and I think it will be for the viewing public.